Welcome to Empowered Conversations with Dena, with me. And today we were going to focus on overcoming fears and owning success. So today I ask you the first question that came into my mind is what fear holds you back? What's the first thing that enters your mind? And I encourage you to have paper and pen, writing things down. I encourage conversation. So, whatever comes to mind, just kind of jot down what fear holds you back in your life, in your work, whatever. And I want to share that there are four common fears that impact success. And let's see if yours is one of them. One is a fear of rejection, where everyone has had an experience of rejection in their life. Whether it's been a job interview you didn't get, a potential partnership that didn't pan out, rejection from college admissions or from other colleges or schools someone was wanting to go to, rejection within relationships, work. And the fear of rejection can cause someone to give up. It can increase self doubt and also really help someone not be their authentic self because they may choose to behave or act or make choices that are more about fitting in because I don't want to be rejected. So that's the first fear. The second fear is the fear of failure. And I feel that almost everyone can relate to this fear on some level. And this fear can stop us right in our tracks. This fear can create procrastination, self criticism, and prevent us from moving forward, even when we feel a desire for something, this desire to move forward in our body and in our heart. And the fear of failure can certainly impact where we go in our lives. Failure number three is fear. Fear number three is fear of judgment. How will others see me? What will they think of me? Will I be judged negatively? And this causes great internal conflict for people, where now there's this concern that now changes behaviors. It may make someone more quiet, more submissive. It may have them choose not to engage in something because of fear of judgment. It may keep us from speaking our truth or making choices to make others happy around us while possibly not making ourselves happy. And the number four common fear is fear of success. And success takes us into new unknown territory. It could mean readjusting your life, your schedules, your time. It may also bring up situations where others are not supportive of your success. And you may also begin to question your own energy and your abilities to reach your potential. And so with those 4 common fears, I kind of ask you again, did your fear come into play with one of the 4? Number 2. And certainly I will share. Oh, you are on mute.
1 and 4
1 and 4.
were the ones I came up with.
So fear of rejection and fear
then,
of success.
Yeah, because of the demands that get placed on you when you do succeed.
Mm-hmm.
You covered that the unknowns come at you and you're like, ah.
Right. And do I have the energy to sustain this?
And
Does
can I
this
handle it? Yeah.
Yeah, can I handle it? And how much readjusting do I have to do in my life to make this happen?
Mm-hmm.
Those are real, honest thoughts and concerns that come up for people. And I'll tell you, for me, my biggest fear when I first wanted to start an empowered life was the fear of failure. And I remember being very supported by my spouse saying, "You have so much to share. I think you should start this." And even the thought of it, like I almost went into hands up, can't breathe, stop breathing. Oh my gosh. Because the fear of failure. And I'll also say judgment, because I was like, wow, because for me, an empowered life was starting my YouTube channel and, starting the website that then was open and accessible to anybody and everybody. And being that visible kind of scared me. And it put that fear of, oh my gosh, I'm putting myself out there for judgment. And then what if I fail? So those were 2 that really impacted me. And as we continue our discussion, I'll tell you what helped me.
Yeah, I think mine really was more failure and success. It's like both sides of the coin. It's like, what's that quote? What if I can't do it, but what if you do?
Right.
What if I think it's the Fly one. I can't remember what quote it's from, but it's like, and then you get the chills about it. You're like, oh my God, yeah, that's right, I could do it. And then, oh my God, but what if I do? Then that unknown. When you said unknown,
right.
That's yeah. Even though we know that we can create that and we can say yes or no all along the way.
Absolutely. But yes, those thoughts about those fears come up first. So let's talk about challenging those fears. And I'm going to take those fears one at a time again and discuss some ways to start really challenging and looking at them differently. The first one, again, is that fear of rejection. And again, the fear of rejection is feeling rejected by someone else. So there has been some sort of interaction, some sort of exchange, or even you never heard from them again. Many people go on job interviews and never hear back. So, fear of rejection. A challenging thought is the first one I have, is that your self-worth is not dependent on someone's view of you. And I want you to write some stuff down that resonates for you, because I think everybody needs a little bit of time to just kind of really process and to be able to really think a little bit deeper about some of these ways to challenge fears. So number 1, your self-worth is not dependent on someone's view of you. The next one is, we have all persevered through rejection before. And not only did we survive, we've grown from the experience. We have learned, we've grown, we've adapted, we've changed. And in those times, we've learned to embrace our greatest qualities and strengths. And also being able to identify what makes you, you, and unique. Because nobody's rejection ever takes away from your qualities or strengths or your uniqueness. And what that means is I have to remember what all those things are in spite of a rejection. And we've all been there and we've all had a rejection and we've all survived. Second, fear of failure. I will tell you what was life-changing for me was hearing this quote that I will share with you on a podcast. There were actually two quotes that totally changed things for me. The topic was about failure. And the person on the podcast said, embrace failure. And just even that concept, I was like, what? I've never heard in my life, embrace failure. You always hear fear of failure, but no one ever gave permission to embrace failure. And embrace failure because it's going to happen. Because we will never do everything 100% correct every time. And the only thing that failure does is let us know we have to find a different way to do something and a different way to succeed. And I can tell you when I heard the permission to embrace failure and that it's okay, that this went to, and I can tell you like a light switch went off in my body and my anxiety of that went away. And I said, okay, I'm ready. And the other quote that I heard in the same week on failure, because there's divine intervention when we need it, was someone else saying, if you don't try, you have already failed yourself. And hearing those two things about embrace failure, it's going to happen. And if you don't try, you've already failed yourself. I was like, you know what? I don't want to fail myself. And that's what created that shift for me. And it was a mental and physical shift where I said, okay, I'm ready. And I love this quote that goes along with failure, and it's by Claire Cook. And she says, if plan A fails, remember there are 25 more letters. One of my favorite quotes. The third fear is judgment. And I would like to provide those challenging thoughts on this one with the first one is everyone has an opinion. And someone's opinion does not make it your truth. And I definitely have found myself saying this many, many, many times with clients is you're going to hear feedback from people for all different reasons. And you can hear the feedback, but I want you to assess it. I want you to really look at it and does it reflect me? And if it doesn't, you let it go. If you feel, you know what, that person is right, that does reflect me in some way, then I take it and I work with it. But again, everybody has an opinion, and I think we know that. And certainly it doesn't mean that someone's opinion is your truth. And to know that in that place of if you are getting judged, know if you stand in your truth and you live and work with honesty and professionalism and dependability and all these wonderful characteristics, no one's opinion matters because it doesn't change and take away from any of those things that are your truth. So if you're living in your truth and doing what you know is right, someone else's judgment does not have to shift or change that whatsoever. So that judgment, I will let go. And remember, I think we've all heard this, judgment also comes from others' insecurities. So just because someone tells you something, you don't always know the intention. And sometimes that person themselves may not even know the intention because sometimes those insecurities are kind of subconscious. But that is why it's so important to really know that someone's judgment does not have to reflect your truth because it may be coming already from a place of someone else's insecurity. And for judgment, what you focus on is what you give power to. So I always suggest clients to give power to what is the truth. And the fourth fear, fear of success, a way to help challenge that is really start to believe that life is a journey. And journeys have paths and twists and turns. And I truly believe this, that opportunity would not be placed into your life if it wasn't obtainable. So keep that in mind in terms of fear of success is if I couldn't do it, that option would not have been presented to me. And surround yourself with supportive, uplifting people that enhance you and help enhance your success. And now I ask you to write this out and fill in the blank. I let go of the fear of blank for the opportunity of blank. And take a moment to how you would fill in those blanks for yourself. Again, I let go of the fear of blank for the opportunity of blank. Would you like to share? I see you're unmuting. Would you like to share yours?
Sure. I let go of the fear of failure for the opportunity of freedom and happiness.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because in order to really gain those, you really have to just look away from that fear. And I loved what you focus on is what you give power to, because it's so very true.
Absolutely.
Can't focus on lack and failure and any of the negatives because then they're just going to grow.
Right.
And, I really firmly believe that. So when I catch myself doing that, and the awareness is part of the solution, I think, when you kept doing that, so you can shift from that. So that was a great thing that you said, because it was, I love being reminded of these things because none of us are perfect.
Absolutely. And it's always good to hear things again because it almost gives more validation.
and it reinforces, like
Yes.
reminders.
Yes.
It's a conditioning. It's a muscle that needs to be worked continuously.
Yes. And especially when 80% of our inner dialogue is negative every day. We've have to consistently, like you said, be mindful.
And work
And I will tell you, the more we work at it and the more we are mindful about it, the easier it is to stay positive and
and
to
just out
see
of the way. Yeah.
yeah, and to see these positive ways of viewing fears that might come up. So, in looking at owning your success, I invite you just to take a moment and envision what you want to change or improve in your life. So, when you had mentioned happiness, like really, what does that mean? What is the vision? What does it look like? Do you have a thought of that vision?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the freedom and happiness kind of go hand in hand, because with gaining freedom, it's really through financial success. So
So, are you talking financial freedom?
it's both. I think when with what I do in my life, in the lifestyle that I live, if I could push past that fear and
Mhm.
reach toward that success, then the freedom will follow. And with that freedom comes the ability to work from anywhere. So
Mhm.
that opens up avenues to travel and visit people when I want to. And so when you're able to do things when you want to do them, I
Yeah.
think that increases your quality of life and happiness.
Yes. Absolutely. And I also share in that vision of wanting my future to include being able to work from different places. And as as you may know, I love talking. I talk for a living. I like speaking. I love talking. I love engagement with people. I love sharing and helping people. And I would love the ability to do that with people from everywhere, from wherever I may be. So
I
I
love
share
that.
in that vision.
Awesome.
And it's so important that we know our vision, whatever that may be, because only when we know the big vision can we begin to plan the steps to make it happen. So that's why I ask about your vision. Like, what does that success look like? And when we have that vision and we start to think about those steps, I want to just reinforce that whenever you begin to feel overwhelmed by emotion or that fear again, it's so important to pause, take a breath, and refocus on facts. We can get very stuck in emotion, emotional reactions and emotional thinking. When we can step beyond that and shift into, okay, what are the facts? What are those ways to challenge those fears? And what are those strengths and abilities and successes I've already had doing different things in my life? Those are the facts we pull from. Those are the facts that we take with us about our strengths and our successes and anything that we need to focus on now and bring that into our consciousness so that then we can start creating more positive self statements, those I statements, those mantras of, I love them starting with I for ownership.
Mm-hmm.
There's power in the word I when we say mantras, such as, I know I can do this. I've got this. You know, I have a plan. Whatever that I statement is that one needs to really support themselves, encourage themselves, and empower themselves in the moment to be able to stay positive and to be able to continue moving forward is the benefit of the I statement. And then also creating vision boards and motivational boards. And motivational boards are focused more. Oh, you have it right there. Fabulous. Because those vision boards and motivational boards, and I look at a motivational board as quotes. Those motivational quotes or those words that I look at and they remind me of my strength. They remind me of my uniqueness. And my vision board reminds me of my goals. It reminds me of my vision and all the pieces that are important for me to help me get there. I think those are wonderful tools to help us own our success while we're challenging and minimizing our fears. And I just want to end our time today because we are almost out of time with this is what I do. Whether it's life coaching or group work or courses, I love impacting people with my work and working with them on their journey, to achieve more clarity in their life's purpose and identifying goals to gain control and direction in their lives and just really begin to expand their confidence and embrace their strengths and who they are. So if you have any questions, feedback, thoughts of future topics you would love for empowered conversations, my email is here, Dena@empoweredlife.net. Please reach out, and I look forward to seeing you next time. And thank you, Lynn, for being with me today on Empowered Conversations.
You're very welcome. Happy
Thank
to.
you.
It's awesome.
Great.